Hello.
How are you this morning?
All right. We are getting here. This is a little different. Hey, everybody. Got Wolfgang. And I need a refill on the. Hey, Allison, can you hear me okay? Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Well, surprise, surprise, I am sitting here.
Measure my four fingers. Hey, can you guys hear me now too? Now that the microphone's not across the room. Is that a yes? No.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a yes.
Okay.
We're
Some
getting
kind of affirmation would be.
Yeah. So
Delightful.
hey, hang with us, everybody. We're getting set up. This is our first time in the studio, so um, we'll get things back to normal here in just a minute. But for right now,
I don't know about normal. I mean, I'm kind of like a cat with their collar on when they're not used to wearing, but it'll be all right.
All right, and we should be streaming as well, right, Devin? Is the live stream going? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is like really exciting because for the last 3 years we've been doing this product coffee, and I have been sitting in my little home office and punching buttons as fast as I can, and switching things, and now our friend Devin is sitting on the other side of the cameras over here producing the session today, which means things should theoretically go smoother, except it's the first time that we've done this. Holly is sitting right across the table from me right here, as opposed to on the other side of Atlanta. It's just a weird, wild change here. So we're pretty excited. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope the quality is going up. I will check in on the live stream in a minute, make sure that's working real well. Also, we are going live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram today. So we are just all over the place. This is going to be a fun
Super
day.
exciting.
So
It's super exciting. The only complaint I have here, Devin, is that the table is a little too wide for me to actually be able to like kick Jason under the table. That would be an extra advantage, so that like when he goes squirrel, I can actually do something besides just go.
That's right. Yes. So when you see the mad gesticulating, that's what's going on here.
Exactly.
So yes, coming live to you at all corners of the world. So hey, but let's get started. We've got a bunch of people. We got a bunch of people online already. So really happy to have everybody here. Let's get started with our routine and say hey to some folks. So for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, what we do here for about the first half hour, less havering time, is we spend a few minutes just drinking coffee or whatever your drink of choice is. I'm used to looking at my computer. I need to look over here now because we're doing it differently. We spend a few minutes just getting to know each other, talking about product management things, whatever challenges are on your mind. So I'd like to invite people to introduce themselves. I try to get to the people we haven't heard from in a while first. If it's your first time here, I'll let you hear a couple of other folks say hi before I call on you. But the deal is, if your camera is on, I'll invite you to introduce yourself, and we would love to find out who you are, who you're working for right now, or if you're looking for a new role, let us know that, and let us know what the most recent company you were working for, and then what has your attention right now. And by what has your attention right now, what we're really looking for is want to understand, what are you thinking about from a product management perspective? What challenges are you facing, or what victories do you want to celebrate? And we would love to celebrate victories with you and help you out with whatever challenges that you've got. This is a big community that exists for the purpose of helping product managers be better product managers, and we want to help you with that. So with that being said, let's get started and see who we're going to say hello to first. Let's get started with Wolfgang. How are you, my friend? Welcome back to Product Coffee. Hmm. Excellent. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. And at the end of the month, I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I think it's the 26th. I could be mistaken about that. We're going to be doing a workshop for your first 90 days in a new product role, or in your new role. Last year we did a workshop for your first 90 days with a new product. This year we're going to step it out a little bit and look at your whole experience onboarding into a new company, taking on a new organization in a new product management role, not just with the new product. And we got a whole bunch of aids, tools, worksheets, workbooks, and components that we've put together at Product Coffee over the years to help you out with that onboarding experience too. So really excited about that. Let's see, who shall we go to next? Let's say hello to Wes. Hey, Wes, how are you?
Well,
Very
product
cool.
coffee is certainly not Atlanta specific, but there's a lot of healthcare happening here in Atlanta, Wes. So as one Texan to another, I mean, just saying. And most won't require you to relocate, I'm sure.
Mhm. Very cool. So, and have you launched that? Have you started sharing that out with recruiters and with hiring managers yet? I'm curious if other folks have done a portfolio site for your product management career. I've seen a couple along the way. I've never done one, and Mike says you've done one. How'd that work out for you, Mike? What did you learn from it? Mhm. Cool. Yeah. And I saw Allison raised your hand, and Mike, you mentioned that you'd taken a page from Allison's book. And for the folks who are out there on YouTube or LinkedIn, if you're watching us live, we're in a new setup today, and so I know the active speaker on Zoom isn't necessarily showing for you, but hopefully you can hear everyone. So if you can, let us know that you can at least hear everything, and we'll keep working on getting the visuals set up so that you can see everybody who's talking as well. But
And if you can't hear anything and therefore you didn't hear the question, raise your hand. One of my favorite things. He's not the only person that
yes,
does
Steve. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah, you do.
Like New Realm Brewing, maybe?
That is terrifying. Yeah.
Mild correction point. I was going to say, I'm not actually sure we should be shocked about that because the whole concept of beer, if we take it all the back past Viking times, right, was a way to purify water and make it safe to drink. That's literally how humans invented beer and wine. So I'm not actually that shocked by that. That sounds totally safe. Let's do it.
So, yep. Let me get you to hold for just a second on that. It's a good question. Devin, I'm getting some feedback on YouTube and on the live streams that people are unable to hear what's coming through Zoom. So, and I know that we're not seeing the Zoom speaker on the live stream right now. We're only seeing the studio. So, sorry, we're folks. We're as for those who are just joining, we are setting up with a new setup today. So the live stream is not running without hiccups. You can hear part of the conversation. When we get into the main program, it'll be we'll keep working on it. We're also recording this here in the studio, so our members will be able to pick it up later as well. Having said that, I do want to turn back to Steve's question. You know, who is looking from a product marketing perspective? So, Steve, if you want to kind of repeat that short question, and then after that, we'll pitch over to Allison to talk about her portfolio. Very cool. Thank you, Allison. So first of all, raise your hands if you want to comment on that. Allison, I want to hear about your portfolio experience as well. So we kind of got two threads going here. There we go.
I'm doing all the things. I just wanted to respond to what Steve was saying, but in whatever order our slightly schizophrenic host is doing today.
Yeah, I'm a little
he's all over the map.
over the place.
But take away the coffee. But anyway, or maybe you need more. I totally agree, Steve. I think that, one, branding as ourselves and being recognized as more is important. But I'm also, anyone who knows me knows I have opinions and will travel. But one of those opinions is being pretty strongly bent towards the product has to either own or be a very important voice and stakeholder in product marketing. When you see products that often don't do well, sometimes it's an amazing product, but it just doesn't get marketed quite right. And God bless, product marketing people. It is an amazing thing. We've had some great discussions here at Product Coffee with folks that really truly specialize in that. But at the same time, it's that close partnership with product. You own the product; it's your child. You need to own the messaging of it to the world as well. You wouldn't let your kid, go to school and somebody else is going to, write some blog about your child's homework expectations and what shoes they're going to wear and all that kind of stuff, right? Like the view of you and your family to the world is you. You need to manage your product in the same sense, is my opinion. So, cheers. Allison, over to you.
Are we? it
I love it. Also, my microphone has sunk way down here. Well, I have to. I'm sorry, you can't see. I guess the product can't producer. I can see this other TV screen, and my microphone has now sunk way down here. So I'll be down here for the rest of the show, guys. Bye now.
So I saw Tolly has his hand up. So Tolly, jump on in here. Oh yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you. We'll definitely check that out. Really appreciate it, and would love to learn more about that. That's so it's for persona generation, huh? Okay.
Just
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for introducing us to that, Tolly. Good to see you. Good to have everybody here. So I'm still seeing that folks are able to sometimes see the Zoom window out on the live streams, but they're still not getting the audio coming through, Devin. So just bear with us, folks. If you're out there on the live streams, we are working on getting the kinks worked out. And thanks for joining us. And we'll have the recording later on as well. So and we'll go ahead and make today's recording available to everyone, not just members, since we're kind of dealing with some new stuff. So just keep an eye on. Make sure you're on the productcoffee.com mailing list. Go over to productcoffee.com. Sign up for our community. Join the community. You can either join the free version or you can join the premium version. The premium version is a great value. As for those of you who registered for today's session, you saw that these sessions are no longer just free for everybody. Our sponsors are supporting a lot of folks to attend for us, but at the same time, our Product Coffee Premium members get into all of these sessions for free, as well as our monthly workshops, and we'll tell you more about that in just a couple minutes. But for right now, I think we've got time for one more introduction. So let's see, who have we not heard from in a little while? Let's see. Let's say hi to Monique. Hi, Monique. How are you? Hey. You bet. You bet. And hey, and congratulations. That's exciting. I'm super excited for you in your new role. Looking forward to hearing more about that as well. And great to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
Excuse me. I super hope that you can make more of the sessions this month, Monique, because that's kind of the theme, right? Setting sail on a new adventure, and you're doing it. So, I mean, let's chat.
Yep.
Come in. The water's fine.
All right. So let's see here. So we are at the top of the hour. So let's go ahead and shift gears. I want to, first of all, I definitely want to, once again, for those of you who are joining us out on the live streams, bear with us. There's a lot of conversation going on here in the Zoom chat, and would love to have you join our community and join us for these sessions live in Zoom. In the weeks ahead, get over to productcoffee.com, sign up, make sure you're part of our free community or part of our premium community. And plan on joining us. We do this every Wednesday. We alternate between 7:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, so our friends on the West Coast can join us sometimes as well. So we get a really good global audience and a global community of product management professionals here. And this week is really special for us. We've got a great new look. We're working with some new technology and some new setup, but all of this programming would not be possible without the help of our sponsors. And if you would go ahead and hit that, bring those sponsor logos up for me. Thank you. So we have got a ton of sponsors that make this weekly program possible. And I don't have time to speak about all of them this morning, but what I am going to do is I'm going to drop in the chat. And if you're out there on the live streams, you'll see in the description, you'll see a link to each of these sponsors. And what I'd like to really ask everyone to do is take a look at the websites of each of these sponsors: Method, Podium Studios, Genuine Parts, Logi Symphony by Insight Software, Sophion, Product Management University, and Feature Upvote. Check these guys out. Check them all out. They're supporting this program and making it possible for you. And so when you have an opportunity to tell somebody about one of these sponsors, it just continues to support Product Coffee in this community. So learn a little bit about them and help them out for helping you out.
And if any of their offerings make sense for things you need to do anyway.
Yeah.
That's the double dip.
Devin, I sent you a video a minute ago. I don't know if you can cue it up and show it to everyone. We didn't prepare for this. If not, we'll do that another time.
Oh, is this when we were doing the tap dance number? Because
yes.
I did not rehearse those steps last night.
That's okay. Hey, there! I heard it. Sounds like we're going to get there, maybe. So I want to introduce one of the. We've got 3 new sponsors so far this year. One of them we don't have the new logo on yet, but we all know them. And of course, we've got Podium Studios, where we're dusting things off and getting started today with Podium Studios here with Devin Smith, who you all know, who's one of our Jobs to Be Done experts as well, and was a sponsor at Product Camp Atlanta. We're really excited to be here. And this facility in Marietta is great. We also are welcoming today Logi Symphony from Insight Software. And are we going to be able to play the video, or do I just need to read the boilerplate?
If you give me a second, we can have the video.
All right.
So why don't we talk about the other sponsors?
Well, and our
there we go.
There we go. It's almost here.
I forget I'm surrounded by TV screens now. It's a little for someone who really avoids TV, like it's the plague.
Okay. The sound is not coming through.
So we can hear it, but they can't hear it? Is that what's happening? Because I'm hearing him.
Okay. Hey, George.
Hey, George. How are you?
Well, while we're setting that up and trying again, I'm going to spin over real quick, and Jackie doesn't have her camera on, so I'm not going to call you up here at front, but Jackie Flake is with us, and we've got a whole new brand for a Brave Start, and we'll be hearing a lot more about them in the weeks ahead. But many of you know Jackie has been an Agile coach and a product management coach here in the market for really around the country and around the world for some time, and has been launching some great programs through Product Coffee, and they're joining us as a sponsor this year as well with their brand new brand. So shiny, we don't even see it yet.
That's amazing. But we're going to miss out. What a treat. Jeez. And thank you again for sponsoring our holiday party as well under Option 1 Partners. And now I'm excited to hear about the new brand. But we'll hold that. We should hold one new thing at a time, Jason. We could have held that for next week when Jackie's actually ready.
That is correct.
But we could talk about our 3 other sponsors that are on the board that we haven't talked about yet while we're waiting for the video.
I see Jeff Meddy's on the line, although Jeff is on Zoom. So if you're, but go ahead and jump in here, Jeff. And let's thank you, Jeff, with Method. Why don't you jump in here and say hi? Happy New Year.
Ha
Cool. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeff. You have been a huge supporter. You and Method have been a huge supporter of Product Coffee and Product Camp for years, and we thank you for being here today. We're going to try that video again, Devin, or are we going to just go with the boilerplate today?
Give the video a shot.
All right. No sound? Nope, we're not getting it. All right. Well, we'll run that again next week. But I will tell you right now, just real quickly, that Insight Software is a brand new sponsor. They and have just specifically are focusing on the Logi Symphony product. But they're a global provider of reporting, analytics, and performance management solutions. They make software for product managers, and I know that there's also a webinar coming up with Pendo and Logi Symphony. And one of the cool things about that is, for those of you who know Pendo really well, you're talking about application analytics, and Logi Symphony is looking really at performance management and analytics under the hood as well for your system and your platform analytics, which is those two things work really well together. And we're going to learn a lot more about that together over the weeks and months ahead. We're going to have them come share a little bit more about what they're doing and how their software enables product teams to deliver higher quality and better performance across the board. And looking forward to meeting them in person in the weeks ahead. And I do want to real quickly mention that if you're looking for new product management roles, keep an eye on Genuine Parts. You can go to productcoffee.com/GPC, where you will find a shortcut to all the product management roles that are available at Genuine Parts. They have asked also, if you're interested in any of those product management roles, reach out to us here at Product Coffee. Send an email to info@Product Coffee with your resume, and we will forward it to the recruiters on your behalf, and they'll get their eyes directly on your resume. Still go ahead and apply through the system. There is a place to put in a reference and mention that Product Coffee sent you. They will be regularly filtering and looking for Product Coffee candidates. But also send us your resume, and we'll forward that onto the recruiters to make sure that you get some eyeballs on your resume.
Yeah, it's the source field. If you've used Workday, most of us have. If you've ever applied for a job in the last 20 years, then you probably know. But when you have that source, where it may say referral, put in Product Coffee, that'll help, right? And then just ping us, and we will send that personal note.
Yep.
Jason, breathe.
Excellent. Thank you. And of course, Sophion has been. Do we have anybody from Sophion on today? I don't see anyone. So I don't think so. Well, Sophion has been supporting us for quite some time as well, across the board, and specifically jump over to acclaimproducts.io. And that is in your links and your sponsor links as well. Check out acclaimproducts.io, and that is a platform to help you make sure that the product work you're doing is actually delivering the business results that you need to deliver. And they've got a whole bunch of solutions to help guide innovation in product. So thanks to all of these sponsors. Get to know them. And but for now, let's head on. Yeah, go ahead.
You were going to talk about Product Management University?
Oh,
I mean, come on, dude.
Right?
What is your deal
know,
today?
right?
You've talked about some of them
John,
twice.
are you on here?
haven't
Did
talked
I-
about others at all.
Right? So, hey, yeah, we got, and of course, productmanagementuniversity.com is a fantastic resource for certification and training for product management, product marketing, and even demonstrations. They've been putting together a whole bunch of programming for the last 20 years. John Mansour has been leading the field in product management training. He's been supporting Product Coffee and Product Camp Atlanta since the very beginning, without fail. And if you're thinking about a professional certification for yourself personally or for your whole team, productmanagementuniversity.com is a great resource. And Product Coffee Premium members get 25% off of all the training at Product Management University as well. All right. Thank you, Holly. So let's move forward and hit the and go on forward and let Allison talk real quickly about the book club. Allison, tell folks what's going on with the book club. Did we lose Allison? Oh, it looks like Allison had to drop. Do we have Manesh? Hey, Manesh, can you jump in and talk about the book club for a sec? But you can bring your own, right? Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So head over to productcoffee.com/book club, and that'll throw some meetings on your calendar and drop you on the mailing list specifically for the book club. Let's hit on to the next frame there, Devin. There we go. So yeah. So Holly, why don't you tell us about what's coming up next week?
Hi, guys. So most of you, I'm sure, know me, and that I lead programming here at Product Coffee. And I'm super stoked about this January series, setting sail in a new product role. And I think it's just a great topic for so many of us right now. And of course, I love sailing. I'll talk about that any day. But next week, we are going to talk about all hands on deck. So this week we're jamming on how you're getting started, and next week it's all about the crew, right? How when you identify the roles, you got to build trust. Yeah, finding your stakeholders, determining what people's superpowers are, what role they fit into, right? Are they a good bosun, or maybe they're a good first mate, but you don't know until you actually vet that a little bit and get to know them. So that's going to be next week's topic as a roundtable. And if you have not been pinged yet to participate in the roundtable, stay tuned. It could be happening to you shortly. Or if you've been pinged and still have questions, the slide is for you.
All right, let's go on to the next one. So one of the things that we do here at Product Coffee every week is we take notes as a group. So if you would pull up productcoffee.com/notes, you will see there's a Google Doc there for you, and you can hit a star. You can save that off in your own Google Drive, your own account, and it'll be there for you forever. We'll also link it to the record to the archive of this show. And the idea is, if everybody takes notes for them on their own, then you might miss something, but if we take notes as a group, then you're sharing your insight, your knowledge, your wisdom, as well as your own questions and thoughts and resources with the whole community. And since this is about community, this is a great way to contribute. So head over to productcoffee.com/notes, and as you have questions and thoughts today, jot them down in this group document. Leave your LinkedIn address if you want to connect with people, or your contact information if you want to connect with people from today's session. It's a great way to continue to build your own network and community as well. So let's go on to the next one. And Holly, why don't you kick us off for today?
Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and do that then. So today is January 10th for those that weren't really sure. No, I'm just kidding. We won't start there. But I'm excited, like I said, just to kick off this new series, Smooth Sailing. Can't talk anymore. Mastering the dynamics of a new product role. And today we're really, truly just getting started. So when you're going to start, we want to weigh anchor. But before we actually pull off of a dock, and actually pull the anchor out of the water, there's some things we got to do, right? Like, I don't know, maybe chart a course and check out the equipment and stuff like that. So that's really today we're going to talk about when you get into a new role, how do you start, right? We can kind of know we need to get the lay of the land, take some time to absorb things before we just start, making up stuff and trying to sound like we know things. Don't do that. That's not advisable, by the way. So how do we get started?
Yep. So thanks. So let's just kind of kick this discussion off, and let us know if you're out there on the streams as well. If you can hear the sound, let us know. If you can't, let us know as well. I know that you can hear us in the studio, but as other folks start talking, kind of keep us posted, and we'll keep working on that.
I know I can't hear you. There's no sound.
Okay, thanks.
From across the table, I can't. No, I'm just kidding.
You might want to take the cotton balls out of your ears. Okay, so with that introduction, let's just kind of get started. And one of the first things that we want to talk about when you're weighing anchor and you're casting and you're checking your lines is really getting a grip and getting an understanding of the organization that you're joining, and grabbing on to and getting an understanding of that new organization's culture and structure is one of the really important things that you need to do as you're onboarding. Some companies are really good about setting up a tour for you, but I'm really curious about what the folks on this call do. And Monique, you might, if you're still with us, I'd be really interested in kind of your approach as you're thinking about your new role, to the steps that you're taking to map out the organization structure and the key players that you have that you need to be connecting with in your new organization. So I'd love to see some hands up, and let's talk a little bit about how you onboard yourself into a new organization and get familiar with it.
It was a lot to unpack.
Excellent, great. Yeah, I would love to hear kind of the approach that you're taking. Mm-hmm.
The questions I'm asking everyone is what's their like what are they looking for in their product team? Like what are the challenges you're seeing with the product team? So I'm just listening for that as well and just taking notes. So really just introducing myself, not, as Hallie said, not coming off as an expert, not coming off as I'm going to come in and shift the whole culture of the organization, but I'm also and I'm listening for roles and what they do and the challenges that they have. So that's kind of my initial approach, as well as I'm working on my 30, 60, 90-day plan as well.
I love that, Monique, and I'll jump in there and say that's. I'm so glad that you said it that way about asking people the questions what they expect from their product team. When we talk about finding out who your stakeholders are and doing those interviews, I think one of the big things that I think is super insightful is to find out what other people think your job is, especially if you're coming in as a product leader, but in any product role, it doesn't matter the level, product owner, product manager, product marketing manager, whatever. What does all of your stakeholders, what does the organization think your role is? Because it's really interesting to hear, and you can only deliver success, right, if you know what their expectations are. And sometimes those expectations need to be reframed, but it's better to know that and start on that early than to wait for someone to basically tell your leadership that they don't think you're effective in your new role, only to find out that's because they thought you were doing everything, including janitorial, and you were unaware of this. So, it's always important. Product managers, are said to be the CEO of the product. And sometimes that really does include just about everything they think happens in the building. So it's really good to get that sense early. I also like that you mentioned the difference with the remote, because obviously that changes things. And so I was starting to put this in the chat, but breaking it down into, how do we get the lay of the land? And then there's, what are the things we do to do that? And like Jason was saying, to assess the organization, understand the culture, and then we should have a separate almost conversation about how is that different in person versus remote? Because depending on your organization, you might have the ability to be remote some days, or you're almost fully remote, right? In which case you just have a totally different way that you have to go about having any of these conversations. You can't just hope that you can wander over into, the space where all the marketing people hang out and have those conversations, or run into people in the bathroom, wonderfully stalkerish as that is. But sometimes effective, because where can they go?
Exactly.
Wes has his hand up.
Yeah, I think one other thing to consider, and going in this line of questioning, is also asking like why certain decisions were made. And I think that'll give you insight into how decision making works across the organization. So, we decided to do X or build this or do something. Why was that? Or what was the input into that decision? You may find that it's a HIPPO decision making process, or it's actually data informed, and that I think that can be very insightful for how you can sort of shape the decisions.
Brilliant point.
Yeah, it's a great point, because it's beyond just the question. And for those who are out there on the stream and couldn't hear that, and correct me if I don't paraphrase this accurately, or you want to paraphrase it, Holly? Okay.
I mean, either one of us can, but I mean, I think Wes, your point is to interview the find out how the decisions are being made across the company, right? And are they being made, through a diplomatic means, or is there a HIPPO driving it, right? That's the highest paid person in the room, for anyone who's unfamiliar with that, right? Understanding how decisions are being made across the company can help how to navigate, and as well as, just give you a better sense for how things get done or have gotten done before you're there, and then you know what you want to change. Did I get that close, Wes? Now we can't hear what. Oh, there he is.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, and the great thing about that is it's going beyond just the what do you do. It's the really internalizing how the culture of the organization and how things are going to actually be done versus how people say things ought to get done. In the workshop at the end of the month, and one of the tools that we've come up with here is we put together kind of a learning plan for when you're joining a new organization or taking on a new product. And one of the things that you can discover in these types of conversations, Wes and everyone else, is really getting a good feel and an understanding of how everyone's success is going to be measured. And we talked about that a lot in the stakeholder alignment stuff that we do here as well. But as you're having those discussions and meeting those people, understanding what how their success is measured in the organization gets you another big piece of the puzzle in that culture and the drivers informing those relationships. See, Matt has his hand up as well. Matt, hey, how's it going, Matt?
Hey, doing? Love the new studio feel and presence. This is really awesome. So, there's a little thing I like to call the trifecta of trust, and I think that it couldn't hurt for you to ask some questions and understand from folks what is it that you would like to be working on or want to be working on with this product that you're not currently, and what's holding you back? And then do a little bit of interviewing with your customers, and perhaps, or go on some listening tours with your fellow product managers and so forth with some of the customers and hear some of that. And then also do some of that with the stakeholders, leadership, on what their expectations are of what the team or what they feel the priorities are and what they should be working on. And then put those three pieces together and see where they line up and see where the differences are. Because maybe there's some things that the product folks or whomever, UX, UI, feel that you should be working on that they have insights about that no one else is thinking of, or on the executive leadership side, perhaps, or maybe even the customers have some of those insights too. So I think it's important to figure those pieces out as well and draw those lines when you're first coming in, because you have that fresh perspective. And that can also help to build trust if you can unblock some of those things that your team wants to be working on, but perhaps there's some factor that's holding them back from being able to do that. So that's my 2 cents. Ching.
So the trifecta of trust.
I love it.
I love it. And I hope we got that in the notes. I was actually just trying to pull that up, but then I see that.
Well, Matt can always add it to the notes.
Yes.
Being able-bodied and able to type, I believe.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. That's a great one, Matt. Who do we have next? I see.
And I'm loving Marcos's comments in the chat. For those of you that are on the Zoom or able to see the chat, I really appreciate that point, Marcos. Especially, I love that you added it, not to be too Machiavellian, but trying to understand not just what the groups think and do and own in an organization as you're understanding their culture, but also the amount of power that group exerts or the influence they may have on certain players, certain decisions, certain things. That's really important. I'd say that's like next level down, as you get a little bit further in even. I wouldn't, stress that in the very beginning, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time. You need to be careful walking that tightrope, as it were, to understand those things. And, to your point, the reason you need to be delicate, just, so we're all on the same page, we probably know this, but right, is obviously if you are also gathering that research and you're trying to assess the power that the group has, you have to be careful to do so that they don't know that's what you're doing. It's very important, right? Or that they don't find notes because you left your computer open where you're talking about the power or influence that they may or may not have. Pro tip, don't leave your computer unlocked.
Yeah, no.
At any time, ever.
Depending on the culture of the organization you're in, it can have even more interesting effects. I made that mistake with the certain team at Silver Pop, and I think some of you might be out there listening, Taz. All right, hey, let's go over to Stark. Hey, Stark. And it sounds like our audio is working on the stream, so you should be fully engaged here, everybody. Hey, Stark, welcome back.
Hey, good morning,
Hey,
Jason.
Stark.
Hey, Hallie. Following up on some of those comments, I agree. I think you definitely need to mind map or understand the power dynamics within the organization. And Jason, you made the point of the way, because when you come in, normally they're going to say, well, this is how we get things done. And then you start digging, you're like, well, that's not actually how it's happening. So having an understanding of that is very important. And then also start inventorying all the things that the company wants to get done that you're going to either play a role in or you're going to be responsible for. And then figuring out, okay, based off the power dynamics, which one should I focus on? Because you can't take all of it on at once. You're going to have to really start prioritizing. And so the sooner you can start prioritizing and starting to divvy that out into, for instance, is this more execution focused and what they're looking for me to do? So we have to deliver this by a certain date, or is this more wholesale change and transformation? Because it would be very difficult to do both at the same time and get the support for both of those. So I would figure out what can I accomplish in 30 days Is that going to be execution or transformation? I would probably focus on execution first and getting something out the door, transformation later. But you should be lining up those relationships. Where I've slipped up is coming in and spending the first couple of months really talking to folks, meeting with them. And then after month 3, feeling like I've got a good read on the situation and then starting to scale back some of those meetings. I would rather go ahead and set those up so you're meeting, every couple of weeks with the key people, and you can switch that up 6 months later, but really focus on developing those relationships because you're going to need them 6, 12 months in.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. And I love what you said there about, strategic versus, execution, right? Or I think of it like tactical versus strategic. And it's really important to that understanding, and kind of to my point too, on interviewing people to understand what they think your job is. Because as product, right, we're often responsible for a deeper strategy, but also for the tactical, how do we get there? And things like you said, but dates and such like that. So understanding those goals.
Well, and some of it may be, Hallie, sorry. I mean, some
No,
of it
go
may
ahead.
be actually moving people around or creating new teams. And that's more transformation. I would try to push that out a little bit until you get a better read on the situation. Focus on getting some quick wins in terms of deliveries. And then you should have a better view of who's capable, because I mean, day one, you may think that this guy is going to be able to knock it out of the park. And then you look later and you start to see the warts. So delay the transformation. If you come in a product role and you have to do both, it's very difficult to juggle those.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that, and with regards to transformation. But I was just going with the taking it down a level, or maybe up a level, I guess, to just saying strategic versus tactical, and understanding which of those the company wants from you and which is the priority, right? So that you decide what to focus on first. That point, I've been in a role where I did the conversely what you were saying there, where I focused on a tactical thing, and really that wasn't what their big thing for me. It was kind of we were kind of surprised that you were involved with that, or that you got your hands in that deep, or got that hands on with it, because really what we wanted you for was just the strategy. So it's really important to understand what are the expectations and what do your leadership think that your job is, when you're figuring out what you're going to focus on there at the beginning, because otherwise, regardless of which one you're picking, you may be wrong, because their expectations are really what they're going to judge you on at the end of the day.
Yep. And of course, that's going to vary broadly depending on the type of organization and the maturity of the organization that you're joining. I was talking to a CEO recently who was looking to hire his first product manager for his organization. And the situation was that he was realizing, as a founder of a startup organization, that he could, he's gotten to the point that he can't do everything, and he's gotten to the point that he's got enough revenue that he can start to hire, and he's got enough funding, he can start to hire some folks to take things off his plate. But understanding the actual role that he needed this product person to fill was really important. And I hear that story over and over again, where we hire someone and we're not really even a hiring manager in a lot of situations isn't really necessarily clear what success looks like. They know they need this product management function filled. They need someone to help execute it, but they don't even necessarily understand it well enough to define success. So getting that clear understanding of what success looks like and being really honest with yourself and with your organization about what success looks like is kind of part of that, getting the lay of the land and understanding how things should flow. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up. Let's jump over to Laurie, who has had her hand up for a minute. Hey, Laurie Gray.
Hey, good morning. New joiner this morning.
Yay!
So excited.
I'd love to piggyback off of some of the comments here, particularly the one that Stark made. Important lesson learned personally. Underlining the criticality of walking through these steps, even if you know the people and know the organization. You think, oh yeah, I'm familiar with these people. I've worked with them before. I've been in a situation where I went to work for a vendor that I had hired, and I thought, I know these people. But when you're on the inside looking out versus the outside looking in, boy, is that a significant difference. So still walk through all of these steps, even if you feel that you're already familiar with people in the organization.
Love it, Lori. Such a great point. even if you're in the same organization, I put this in the chat, but if you move to a different role at the same company, you're absolutely right. It's so critical, and it's still so true, because the expectations they had of you as even the same level, say you're a director of product in one group and you move as a director of product into another group, those expectations from the same people, or what success looks like, what the wins look like, to everyone's points here, are totally potentially different. And if you don't take the time to understand it, then, you're, the previous conversations we've had here at Product Coffee, you're buying a lot of tacos to manage your stakeholders. And, I've spent a fortune on tacos.
Why don't you tell that story real quick?
Oh, well, so managing difficult stakeholders, sometimes the best thing you can do is find what their weak spot is, right? And also get them out of the building. Goob. It's a big, important message for product people, right? Always get out of your building. So if you have a stakeholder in the building that you have a stressful situation with, the best thing is to get them one-on-one, remove them from the situation, get them outside the building. And in my case, that was, let's go for Mexican. Would you like a taco? I think you need a taco. And it became a catchphrase in a meeting with my difficult stakeholder, whose name was Doug and is not on the call today. But sometimes is. And George, you probably know exactly who I'm talking about, Insba Jones. Would need a taco? Just an IM. Just, tacos, question mark? And he knew that meant he was being a little, difficult, and he needed to dial it down a notch, or he was going to have a one-on-one that he may not want. So there you go. Find their weakness. Could be a beer. Could be a glass of wine. Just say, hey, I'd like to get together with you and understand that point more. You were very passionate about that thing, right? Don't demonize them for, being difficult if that's what happens, right? But make it I want to understand. I need to understand where you're coming from, and we need to partner together to solve this problem or work better, and make it about that, and then have a positive that's, chocolate chip cookies or tacos. Or bourbon, whatever.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Coffee, tea, bourbon, scotch, whatever.
Thanks for letting me share that story so you had time to go grab a cup of coffee, boss.
You bet. It's what we do. Kevin. Hey, Kevin Lewis, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Permission to come aboard?
Yeah.
Permission granted. And thank you for a nautical reference.
Yeah, we gotta keep following that. So I wish I had a great catchphrase like trifecta of trust to go with this, but just to add in to what other people are saying, I think it is important to check for understanding and alignment of product vision and strategy. Because not only have I had experience, especially at the executive level, of misalignment or misunderstanding, but also seeing the way, depending on the size of the company, how it's organized and how things are operated, especially from a go-to-market standpoint. There can be, a vision and strategy that product or a certain aspect of the organization holds that's not followed through all the way. And especially if you meet with sales teams and understanding their activities and where they're going and the customers that they're talking to and what they think is going on or what they think the company is providing can be a mismatch and can be an underlying situation that needs to be addressed. Certainly not within the first 30, 60, 90, but understanding that going in can really help eliminate some issues or some areas of opportunity.
Totally agree. Love it.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of people refer to the 30, 60, 90, and that's kind of become a common concept. It's a little bit different. So, and how many, just by show of hands on the Zoom, or you can +1 in the chat out there in the socials, how many of you are familiar with the Michael Watkins First 90 Days book from Harvard Business Press?
And if you were in the Product Coffee Book Club, you should be raising your hand. Allison will be checking. Actually, AI probably will screen the video and let her know. There's probably some output report.
So that 30, 60, 90 is a concept that was popularized in that book. And that book is really written with a leadership mindset. If I'm taking over, a major organization, if I'm taking on a large organization, it's not so much written from the individual contributor's perspective in the product management space, but a lot of work has been done by a lot of great thinkers about how to take that concept and apply it to lots of different spaces. And so some of the things you want to do in your 30, 60, 90 as a product manager, as a product professional, align very well with the first 90 days plan. I recommend reading that book if you haven't already read it. Definitely recommend reading it. But also, you have to think very specifically about what wins look like at a much more tactical level than that book tends to focus on. So, but that was a good call out, Kevin. Thank you for bringing that up. And George Pierce, how are you, George? Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see everybody too. Thanks for taking the question. I just want to dovetail a couple of things that Holly mentioned previously. As someone who was in my former organization, which just recently split, the definition of win can change at the very end, and I found that incredibly
disorienting.
Yeah, good word for it, Holly. I was trying to think of a yes. That disoriented. Yes, understanding what a win was, and I find the one thing I would do differently, and I will do moving forward, is as you're moving towards as you were strategic and this was going to be the win, as you move toward the conclusion of the project, just reiterate what win means to the organization, because it tends, especially if you get some type of change in the leadership, the definition of win dramatically can change for you over time, and then you have to go back, reevaluate your measurements and stuff like that. So I find just making sure that everyone is aligned as you move towards the end of the project, that when what it was at day one when you kicked off the project is the same as what win equals at the end of the project.
And I know you're saying WIN, but to my good friend Wes's point in the chat, I think that same point actually ties into WIN, win, or win, WHEN. And if you're from the South, or I'm from Texas, I can't pronounce anything, so those words sound exactly the same, but they're probably not supposed to be. But regardless of that, right, those can both change. And I love what you just said, George, and it actually just made me have the thought of this whole series is on, starting in a new product role, but sometimes you're not the one that changed, or you're not even told that your role changed. Your role can change behind the scenes because the leadership, therefore the people who have expectations of your role, change. So it's always constantly evaluating that, and that's a great, point, is that really what we're talking about this whole month is things that you need to be mindful of and that you want to do, even if you just get that email. It's a total surprise, right? And it's like, hey, this person's now starting as your new VP above your other VP. And, now you have 5 bosses instead of 3. That's the kicker, right? To actually not ignore that email or set it aside for I'll read that later when I want to feel, really great about myself. Instead, you want to actually pay attention to that and go, okay, this is a new player and I need to understand how they tie into the organization, what role they're playing, not just, from a politics perspective, but to understand how that may change what my role actually is, or what the win that I need to be pursuing is, right?
Yep. And having a framework in place to actually, as George was suggesting, as Holly's suggesting, to keep track of that and the changes over time is really a crucial part of not only getting the lay of the land, but maintaining, making sure that you're keeping your eyes fixed on the right targets.
Staying on course.
Yes, staying on course. There you go. We should bring 60-second business case into the staying on course conversation as well, because that's one of the things that we do with that. And for those of you who have been around Product Coffee for a while, you know that one of the tools that we use is the 60-second business case for prioritization. And one of the things that you're really focused on in that is maintaining strategic alignment with your product portfolio and your with your products as well as your business strategy. And so having a quarterly intention of confirming that you're still operating with the same definition of winning is kind of part of the work that you do in that. And that's a really good tool. So if you're in our premium Product Coffee Premium, you've actually got the workshop on strategic alignment in the archives. You can go out there and you can grab a copy of that, and you can grab a copy of those resources. If you're not in premium,
you can join immediately now.
Right? Yes.
There are no other options, Jason.
And you can also take advantage of the fact that Jason just realized that he made a mistake and has not bumped the prices up from the new year like he was supposed to. So we are still at the $299 price if you buy today before I get home and raise it to $499.
I will try to hold him in the studio as long as possible. We need to record like next week's promo after this. There are some things we can do here, guys, but take opportunity of this window. This is like that one time that Home Depot had it where they typed in $199 instead of $199. Periods matter where you put that decimal point.
So productcoffee.com/premium. With that, you get access to our private Slack group, which is a business account. So all our archives stay there. You can meet with not only other product managers from around the world, but we have a ton of senior executives that are part of our Product Coffee community who are always willing to help out. We've got a ton of product management coaches, and part of this partnership that we talked about with A Brave Start is we're bringing a bunch more product coaches into the Product Coffee community who are going to be there for you to get to know and bounce your challenges around with and get to know a lot of great people. So jump in, and we also do monthly professional development workshops, and a lot of these topics that we're talking about come from some of our workshops. You get those included in your membership. You can buy each of those for $200 a pop, or you can buy a one-time membership for $499 a year, or right now $299 a year, and get all of those workshops for a year. So really recommend jumping in on that. Wes, you got your hand back up. Bring it back up here, buddy.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, Hallie's comment about win versus win reminded me that one of the things that I like to do with my teams is start with a taxonomy doc, because what we think one word means might mean something entirely different across different people. And I actually think that helps strategically towards, one of the core tenets of domain-driven design in software is to speak using language that your customers and the entire domain uses. And so that can kind of create alignment across the organization as well. But it also helps you understand, wait, you said when, but I said when. And
right?
Great example. Love it.
I usually manage to hide my texts to have a catchword that outs me. And, I'm not going to say it here. I'm going to make everybody keep coming to Product Coffee for the next 5 years to see if they can catch it.
Yep. So we talked earlier in the call about defining the nature of what your early wins need to be. Do you need to execute, or do you need to, are you going to execute tactically? Or are you going to transform? And I'm curious, too slow.
Show is
Sorry.
over. The show must end now. We're out of coffee.
I got to tell you, I got up this morning and I brewed 2 pots of coffee for this one carafe to bring over here. And between Holly, myself, Devin, and Jason, who's over there in the corner right now.
I don't think the other Jason got any.
He
didn't want any. Sure this is all you.
I know Devin's had about a cup. Holly's had about a cup, and we're out. So, as I say, this does not just naturally happen. This is chemically induced. So, back to the main topic.
That's the main topic.
The main topic is deciding those early wins and setting your own early goals. And I've talked to a lot of people who, and we talked a moment ago about you don't necessarily even have a clear definition of success. So what I would love is I'd like to build on the conversation that Stark was starting earlier and talk about what some of you have experienced, how you have gone into your new role and where you have discovered your own definition of success and how you've set those early goals when they weren't necessarily apparent. Because more often than not, charting your own course, sorry, I'm getting that metaphor out of order, but charting your own course includes deciding what your destination is. So I'd love to hear some stories and some more stories from some of you who have been through that and had to identify your own measures of success. And while we're waiting, I'm going to step away and get my charger because my computer's dying.
Oh, well, that's exciting. So I will jump in if nobody else has one right immediately, because I think that's a great spin that Jason just went after there is the right. It's important that we've been talking about understanding what the organization's expectations are, what win looks like. But sometimes you get into a role, it's happened to me, certainly, where you get in, and it's, really it's on you to define what the win, WIN, is, right? They're not really sure. They know they needed a product person, but they're not really sure what you're going to deliver or what that's supposed to look like or what winning looks like in any way, shape, or form. They may not have that defined. Well, I always look at the vision and the mission statement to try to figure out what we're supposed to be delivering. It's a good place to start. But sometimes you might even, if some of you are starting in a startup, you might even be at the very beginning where there isn't even a mission statement or a vision yet. Has anyone experienced this? My good friend Austin looks very thoughtful, but I'm not sure that actually means he has, or he just thinks, man, that'd be terrible.
Hey everyone. I'm a newbie here, so I'll say hi. There's two of me. That's very disorienting. I work with a lot of startups myself. I'm actually like 3-week-old college grad, so I'm very young in this process. But I've worked with a lot of startups in the past, from like baby bottles to building my own companies in the past. And I've seen that it's really hard to set up like a product map or even defining what you want to go about. What I found is it ends up being a people game most of the time, trying to align your vision, because if you're both going on different tracks and they're not parallel, you're just going to run into tons of issues super early on. And so it becomes a big conversation. I know Monique, you had talked about it earlier, kind of getting the whole team together, figuring out what your direction is. And then it's a lot easier to get that product map up and running. So, yeah.
So true. Austin, I see you got your hand up, buddy.
Yes. Well, you called on me, so I figured, it made sense to answer your question.
Trick. It always works.
Right. Yeah. So, so it's interesting you ask about that. I have worked, in the startup space before, but I think what immediately came to mind was, in my previous role at Nielsen, one of the things that we would always have to do is, for these large, complex, customer, requirements that would come in, and the big, huge, new, country, product launches that we would be looking at, we would almost be defining a product strategy, a product vision, almost thinking about it and like a startup. And one of the things that we found is like a useful tool in going through that is to start, almost like, project management 101, really, but like define a charter for what it is that you're looking to accomplish. What's the scope? What's the, what are the KPIs in terms of the measures of success? And then, getting that in front of a stakeholder group to get aligned to it, and ensuring that everyone's on board. Do we need to tweak something? And then, then obviously kicking it off and starting to march down that path, but then going back to the point about, the operating mechanisms and keeping everybody aligned to the vision. You have to revisit it and you have to keep coming back to it, on some regular cadence, to make sure that you are headed in the right direction. You are delivering are the correct KPIs, because, they change over time. Success, a win can be redefined, as you go almost. And so it is important, to make sure the stakeholder expectations of what you're delivering is clear.
The wind can change as the wind changes.
Oh, just keep them coming. Just keep them coming.
Now I got a table. I can actually do it.
I think we're going to need to definitely get a couple of stream decks and some extra sound effects as well. So I don't want to have to say, "Hey, Devin, hit the." I need a soundboard.
And again, smaller table so I can kick him more easily.
No.
Just if we're going back to our list of requests.
All right. So who else has some thoughts on that topic, on kind of identifying those, what winning looks like, and defining what winning looks like? Kind of about to land the plane here as well. So.
I think I wanted to pursue that one that we were on right when Austin jumped in, back to the defining it yourself, right? So if you're in that position, does anyone else have any feedback or experience when you go in, you're trying to assess what the company's expectations are, what the wins are you're supposed to be pursuing, and it's kind of okay, so either that's interesting, I need to reset them, and let's define something better that as the head of product or in this product role, what I think we should be going after, or there really is no expectation, and so it's really kind of, well, what do you think? And you need to kind of cobble that together. Has anyone done that? Who hasn't shared that already? And how would you approach it if you were? Maybe you haven't done it, but what do you think? How would you do that?
So one of the go ahead. Wes got his hands up, so I'm going to let Wes go.
Yeah, it was kind of, I'm kind of answering Hallie's question, but it was similar to what I was going to raise, which is I find that they often have lagging indicators of like business metrics, like we need to reduce churn, we need to increase revenue, whatever it is, and then you have like the tactical plans of these are the features we want to build, but there's often a gap between them and like understanding. So first of all, I would try to understand what are those leading indicators or things that we have identified that we might measure to increase the revenue or reduce the churn. And then if not, that's a great exercise, an alignment exercise to do with the rest of the org or your stakeholders to find that out. And then even starting to like sort of map those out. There's some tools out there that do a great job of actually instrumenting your strategy that way. So you can say, if we do see this leading indicator go up, it actually does reduce our churn over time. But that I find that most organizations have clarity on both ends of the spectrum, but not in between.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great point. I talked about, tying to the vision and the mission statement earlier, but to your point, sometimes there are these vague goals, right? Like we want more people to X, but there's no clear, even within the company, understanding of how you as a product person would influence X, like get more people outside or whatever, right? And it's like, did you actually want me to start breaking in people's doors and shoving them outside? Because I don't think that's really what you're suggesting, but I'm not really sure how else I would influence that. So I think that's, you really just spoke so well to that. There's a lot of great points there.
Absolutely. And I see Lori's got her hand up. Hey, Lori.
Hey there. I think
first of all, before you go, I want to say I'm so glad that you're here and jumping in and being part of this community. Thank you for being here today.
I am grateful to be here. Thank you for having this. I didn't realize that this existed, so it's a wonderful resource. Piggybacking off of Wes's comments, I think, how to cover that gap. I've had a lot of success in the past in rapid prototyping to be able to explain the concept and give people, particularly the key stakeholders and the executives, something to look at and have them get to that aha moment where they can say, yeah, this is great, or no, this isn't. And when I talk about rapid prototyping, I'm talking about using tools like Figma for digital products, or if it's service-based, really more taking that service mapping type approach to be able to get visual stories in front of them. Because what I've discovered over the years is even when we have words on the page, we're still having the win-win conversation. And so that would be my recommendation for how I've closed those types of gaps in the past.
So heavy on the visual prototyping and the service mapping. Service blueprinting is an even deeper dive into the service mapping that kind of really looks at the whole business. So yeah, those are great call outs. Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. And yeah, super glad that you're here. We have about 2 minutes left to go. So I think it's about time to land the plane.
All right.
But I want to thank everybody who was here today for our first time broadcasting from Podium Studios here in Marietta, Georgia. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Jason. You can't see them. I wish we could spin the cameras around. I know what we're going to do next time.
There is another Jason. It is not a clone of this one.
I mean, it's a carbon copy. We could be twins. We're
gonna need Jason to show up on screen at some point.
Come around here, Jason.
Prove this out.
Come
so people
wave.
know he's not. Come on, Jason.
Come see my twin brother here.
It's his brother from another mother.
Here it comes.
Totally
spitting image.
Oh,
Spitting
yeah.
image.
Actually, the beard is the same. The beard is the exact same. Yeah. And you wear glasses sometimes. So yeah, it actually is more alike than I was thinking. I apologize.
Hey, Jason, Hallie.
Hey,
I stuck it in the comments, but I just had to say this was exactly what I needed to start this new role. So thank you. This topic today, I have so many key takeaways. This was exactly what I needed. When I saw the heading, I was like, oh, I got to move some things around to join today. So thank you.
I'm
So
happy
glad
to
you
hear
were
that.
able to.
I'm so happy to hear that, Monique.
And we're going to keep this theme going all month long. We're going to examine it from several different angles. So keep an eye on your inbox. We'll have more announcements. We'll have the registration will open for next week's session, which will be at 11:30 a.m. next Wednesday. And we will see you all next time. Thanks for being here. Watch out for that survey. You're going to get a survey request. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see change, and we want to hear from you. So check your email for that survey as well. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So great, everybody. Podium Studios.
Yay! All right.